What's up, my crypto legends? In this episode, we're talking about this potential massive head and shoulder scenario that is forming right now for Bitcoin with this ascending neckline. And I'm going to explain why this could be a gigantic bear trap if we start dipping below the neckline. Do you remember back in May and June where a lot of people were calling this for a gigantic head and shoulder scenario? Well, what happened after a few weeks? We started pumping like crazy and hitting all-time highs. I do see this scenario right over here playing out very similar to what happened back in June and July. So make sure to stay tuned, guys. We got the S&P breaking all-time highs while I'm recording, and we're going to analyze the Bitcoin price on the 4 hourly to see what could potentially happen in the next coming hours and days. So make sure to stay tuned. Hello there, Andy here. Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoinsensus. New to the channel, make sure to subscribe daily to on Bitcoin crypto, also to live stream to connect with the community, guys. Here, what we have, all right, keeping it simple, potential scenario. There's quite a lot of people talking about this right now where we do have higher lows here and we are creating a head and shoulder pattern potentially. Now, we all know that this is a bearish scenario because the right shoulder means that it cannot get above the head, and this is a bearish reaction, and we might be breaking the neckline in the next coming weeks and continue to the downside. But I think that this could not happen anytime soon, and I'm going to explain why in this episode, and it might not even play at all. Now, I want to show you here, zooming back, this scenario right over here, okay? We did have a solid base right over here at the 29-30K levels approximately, and it looks like that we were, if I do connect the wicks here potentially, or even this one, all right, you could potentially start connecting these wicks over here. And we did see some kind of fake outs from this neckline connecting the lower part and these couple of wicks. All right, we did see some kind of fake outs here from this potential gigantic head and shoulder scenario. I did see many analysts saying that this was it for Bitcoin. We were going to enter a massive bear market in the next coming years because of this kind of scenario where we were forming a gigantic head and shoulder. Now, I did not believe any of this. I was heavily believing that this was an accumulation zone, and this finally did play out to the upside. And I do have a very similar sentiment to what is happening right now here, guys, to what happened here back in May and June. And I'm going to explain just with the RSI, okay? I'm just going to think that there is going to be a massive volatility potentially, and this is if we don't have a massive bounce from the current levels. We might see some volatility down to $44,000, and I'll explain why in the 4 hourly chart. But on the daily, if we take a look at the RSI, there are some bullish divergence playing out, guys, and this is what we want to see at the very bottom of a massive trend in a consolidation. We want to start seeing some bullish divergence for that potential reversal. And here what happened, all right, we were creating, let me just get this neckline out of the way so it can look pretty clear, so I can explain why that we might be faking out to the downside and then getting a massive bounce. Look at this price action here where we were creating lower lows here slightly, as you can see. And on the RSI, we were creating higher lows, as you can see here on the chart, right? High lows on the RSI, lower lows on the price action. This is bullish divergence. At some point, you are going to have that effect to the upside, right? Where you're going to have that leg up here on the RSI, potentially going to the overbought territory. So this is what I'm expecting here in the next coming days. It might take a week or so, but with potential volatility to the downside. Remember, these bullish divergence did not play out. You know, we even had that one last leg down here. All right, and then the bullish divergence played out. So something very similar, I think, is going to happen to BTC. If I just zoom in here on the chart, we can see the very, very similar divergence playing out where we here, apart from this massive wick that we did have on the 4th of December, you can see the daily here, the price action is creating lower lows and the RSI is creating higher lows, as you can see. So very, very likely that what we going to see is something very, very similar where we might see, if we do not have the price action already going to the upside, we're going to see slightly volatility, just like what we saw here back in late July. Okay, slightly to the downside, because I think the RSI is not going to have time to go to the extreme oversold territory. So it's still going to be bullish divergence, and then finally having that leg up, guys. It looks like we are mirroring something very, very similar from June and July. We got the S&P breaking all-time highs while I'm recording right now. It doesn't look like it wants to stop anytime soon. Now, we do have a lot of analysts, okay, saying bear market, a crash is going to come in the stock market at some point in 2022. And if it's not in 2022, it's going to be in 2023. Now, you cannot predict when the crash is going to happen. We know that the trend is still pretty strong to the upside, guys. So let's just go with the trend and, you know, stop trying to predict a massive crash that is going to come, because every single time, you know, we've got Robert Kiyosaki, Alessio Rastani, we have a lot of these analysts that are calling for a crash for years now, and it's just not happening. So let's just go with the trend and I'll be happy. Now, taking a look at the BTC price on the 4 hourly, like I mentioned, all right, about the bullish divergence in the immediate short term on the 4 hourly, we can clearly see here that we are also creating a bullish divergence, which is pretty exciting. We did see the price action here on Bitcoin back in the beginning of December, mid-December, creating lower lows, as you can see on the price action. And on the RSI, you were creating slightly higher lows, as you can see. And finally, these divergence played out beautifully. As you can see, we did have that nice price action to the upside. Now, what I'm seeing over here is that we are also creating some slightly bearish divergence, all right, that are just about to play out right now, where we do have these slightly lower lows right there, okay, and this was created on the 31st of December, where we did create that drop, and the RSI was creating higher lows, as you can see. So gigantic higher lows here on the RSI, and price action making lower lows. Now it looks like that we're creating a higher low right over here, and we might see these bullish divergence play out in the next coming hours and days. So what we could see also is a gigantic, you know, fake out to the downside, potentially hitting that $44,000, because we did have a massive descending wedge here, right, on BTC here in the yellow. As you can see, the resistance and support, we broke out, we met the target, which is the top of the wedge right over here, and now we're just continuing to the downside, but we are getting bounced from the resistance of the descending wedge, turning it into support. And this is also a very, very similar scenario that we did see back in June. And let me just zoom out here and show you, okay, back in June, July, we did see, it wasn't a kind of a descending wedge, but we did have a major resistance zone, right, where we were having these lower highs. We did have this gigantic fake out, remember, and then we came back in. But, you know, as soon as we came above it, it was reacting as heavy resistance, getting heavy support, getting bounces every single time from this descending resistance, as you can see, turning into support from the lower highs. So if I just zoom in right here from the price action that's happening right now, we can clearly see that something similar could be playing out. So I think that the most bearish case scenario would be slightly having some lows here in the next coming days, potentially hitting $44,000 before we get that massive reversal and see these massive bullish divergence on the 4 hourly playing out, guys, and just dipping below here, getting those over leverage stop losses, you know, potential liquidity grab, boom, 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 and then continue to the upside. All right, a lot of people might going to think, okay, that we do have a gigantic support here, and that if we start breaking, we're going to see those alerts, okay, that we are breaking support and we are going to come to much lower levels. And what it's going to be is it's going to be a gigantic fake out, and then we're going to have a massive reversal. That is my take here. That is my opinion, guys. So I am still in my long positions. I am planning to add to my position. As you can see, my average entry is 46.4K. If we do go to 45, 44, I'm going to ladder into my position, because I do see that potential reversal happening very, very soon, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to trade on Bybit or Femex. You got the best bonuses down below. I might be doing a live stream afterwards. Make sure to subscribe, smash up that like button, check out Bitcoinsensus website for the latest news and technical analysis. Here we got bullish and bearish case scenarios. Thank you, guys. Check out my Bybit Prime XBT tutorial to learn how to trade on those platforms, and I'll see you later.